Welcome to the HU Movemakers podcast, where we highlight folks that are blazing the trail and making moves in Howard culture. Welcome to the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks in Howard culture that are blazing the trail and making moves. Today, we got a special guest in the building. Special guest, man, from Dallas.
Yes, sir.
The inventor, the creator, the curator, 1,000 bottles. Yes, it's him. He's here. Trill Grill, Brunch Kings. This man's cost me a lot of money, man. A lot of sleepless nights going up against this guy, man. I don't appreciate it, man. From the School of Business, NYU, 2008, Masters in Music. Currently working with Burrell Communication.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to that big Toyota account, that Toyota bag that he's currently getting.
Woo!
Shout out to that, man. But yo, Steve Owens, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me, bro. And all that you mentioned, bro, a lot of that wouldn't be possible without big bros like you know, trailblazing before I was even there. Throwing parties, curating events, marketing to the Howard crowd. You know, I learned from the OGs, and you definitely one of them. So I appreciate the love.
Thanks, man. Thanks, bro. I appreciate you coming on and taking it to another level, man. So, 1,000 bottles, man. Let's start with that.
Okay.
You know, I celebrated my bachelor party at 1,000 bottles, bro.
Oh,
you know
really?
that?
I didn't know that.
I celebrated my bachelor party. I'm a promoter, and I paid for a table. You know what I mean? Yeah, we was at 1,000 bottles. I think my guy BJ, he was like, yo, 1,000 bottles is where you need to have your bachelor party. I was like, man, homecoming. Mm-hmm. Like, I got a party doing homecoming. I want all my boys to be there. And it's crazy because my original wedding date was on the same day as homecoming. So, I had to move that.
Yeah.
I had to move the wedding date. I had to move the wedding
personal
date,
reasons.
Yeah, man. But my wife understood.
Yeah.
So tell me, man, talk to me about 1,000 bottles. Like, how did that come about?
So it came about, it was actually a collaboration between one of my best friends and my old business partner, Jason Foster, and then a couple of younger Bison that we knew, Francis Roberts and James Murray. So they had BE Entertainment. We were trying to get our party thing going with TGL, and we decided, hey, we're going to take a leap of faith and do a homecoming party. We're going to actually put down that big deposit on the venue, rent everything out, and just kind of learn on the fly. Besides that, we had just, hey, we'll go to a club, rent it out for the night, But this is like a whole different thing. And it was originally called HU Legacy because we wanted to make sure that we wanted to include like the last 5 years, 6 years of Howard, and we wanted the party to be a legacy, something that could continue on. And this is right after, I think this is a couple years after Love had shut down. So there was that kind of space where that people were trying to figure out what to do. And we just kind of came in at the right moment for a Friday night party. I think one day I was just tweeting and I heard something on some song. I think it was a Meek Mill song. He said, I got 100 bottles. And I said, well, why don't we have 1,000 bottles? We're going to have 1,000 people. Everybody should be having a bottle. That's the kind of party we want to have. It's going to be all open bar. Let's do 1,000 bottles. And it just took off from there.
So what goes into doing a production like that, man? Because when I went, it was literally like 1,000 bottles there, man. And I remember, I think I went by early and seen y'all like setting up, just bringing in all these bottles. And bottles, like everybody's on the yard. And y'all at the Howard Theater working. This is like 3 in the afternoon, 12 p.m. Y'all working, man.
Yeah. Right before I get to that, I can't do this without making sure I shout out, rest in peace to Will Worley. He was a big part of, he started the Alcohol Heroes hashtag on Twitter, which really took our party from being, just another homecoming party to like something that was really trending amongst Howard people. So definitely, rest in power to him. But yeah, man, the first one we had was actually at what's the name of that place? It wasn't at Howard Theater. It was at another venue, but it was like wide open space. So we had to rent that. We got an education on the fly of how to rent furniture, rent lighting, rent DJ equipment, caterers, because we had to have food, and then trying to figure out how to transport hella bottles that we actually bought from somewhere else in New York down to DC. So a story that a lot of people don't know is that James drove the bottles down from New York, and he drove them down in a U-Haul, and he ran a red light around the corner from the venue, and he almost got pulled over. Well, no, he did get pulled over, and they checked the back of the truck. But the way everything was positioned, we had the juice in front of all the liquor, so they didn't see the liquor. They just did a quick scan and let him go. So it was almost no 1,000 bottles.
Damn.
It's very close to being no.
Yo, that would have been a problem, bro, because people spend good money on them tickets, dog.
Yeah, that would have been a major problem. But
so what go ahead.
No, I was just saying, moving to Howard Theater next year made it a lot smoother. We just had to deal with the alcohol, but I mean, they had it in house, obviously, but we had to separate all the tables. So, like me and you had a conversation before, like homecoming is very fun and you get to see a lot of people, but it's also work for us. You know what I'm saying? Like we're trying to come out to Yard Fest for a second and check out some people, but it's a lot of work goes into that event, bro.
A ton of work, man. I mean, what is it like when, to create something like that at this point, that's a staple event in a lot of people's homecoming experience, man. And how long has 1,000 Bottles been going on?
It started in 2011, so this would have been the 9th year.
So, I always say, like, you can't talk about how we're homecoming without talking about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? 1,000 Bottles, if you was to write the history of how we're homecoming, you got to mention it somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It has to be mentioned. You know what I'm saying? What is it like to create an event and then you go on you look in Eventbrite and tickets just moving? You know what I mean?
It's one of the greatest feelings in the world, man. I remember we like I believe it was the second year. I don't know if it was the first year. I think it was the second year when we moved to Howard Theater. There were a couple of points where Eventbrite like shut down, and we got emails like we're no longer able to accept ticket purchases at this time. Right now, like Eventbrite shut down a couple of times on us because everybody was just trying to buy tickets at the same time, and it really kind of spoiled me because now I feel like if I do an event, it's got to be 1,000 people. It's got to sell out in a week. It's got, know. So it's kind of at that high of like those first few years of when we were doing it. And it's still popular now, but like that rush of getting used to that and getting used to, that really being in demand party and just creating an experience that people will remember and people talk about. Like I've had people down here in Dallas tell me that they've heard about 1,000 Bottles.
And y'all have had some pretty dope artists perform, and I see that part of the business model is for people to come to expect the unexpected. Because when I went, I think I don't know if it was Bobby Shmurda. I don't know which one I went to, and I was like looking. I was like, is that such and such on the stage? Like perform, like you know what I mean? Like where did that come from?
Yeah, we wanted to do something to make it special. At the time, I had just stopped working I got laid off from Epic Records. So I still had some relationships there. And I believe Bobby had just gotten signed there. So I used one of my connections to kind of talk to his people. And they were down to do it. And we kept everything really hush-hush. Only the DJs knew. I think it was Chase and Chubb were the DJs that night, the DJ and host. And they were the only people outside of like our core group that knew. And when he came out, like the whole room just exploded. And that was same year. Like of course he had his song, but there was like a viral video going around of people dancing and doing the Smurder dance inside of the Punch Out. And so it was like perfect timing. And yeah, we were able to put it together. The team was able to get it done, and it worked out amazing, bro.
Damn, who else? What other artists have you had perform at Thousand Bottles?
We've had, I believe, just one other artist perform was Lil Uzi Vert.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
he performed like I think it was 2 years after that, 2 or 3 years. There were some almosts, a lot of almosts. Like Cardi B was supposed to perform,
Wow.
but she just started, but like the timing has to be just right, like bubbling right around the time when I can still afford you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And she kind of took off a little bit too fast. So, but that was one of them. Travis Scott came to we branched off and did Thousand Grads. So Travis Scott came through to celebrate Chase's birthday. Chase DJ that night. Chase B, obviously Howard grad.
So
We
how do you
remember,
keep the brand going, man? Because it's so much competition, man.
yeah,
At the end of the day, people do want to go to a dope party, but people also want to be
mhm,
where their class is gonna be at too. You know what
yeah,
I mean? So for me, I'm 39. So when I look up, it ain't too many of my classmates. They at Yard Fest now. You know what I'm saying? They at
mhm,
the tailgate, but they tapping out. You know what I mean? Whereas
yeah,
before, when I first started, everybody was going to everything. How
yeah.
do you keep a brand going so that you could tap into a new market and remain relevant? When you're competing against other up and coming promoters.
Couple things. We tried to like transition our focus out of Thousand Bottles and kind of lean on some younger promoters like Paradigm and Playmakers, kind of partnering up with them to help still bring people to Thousand Bottles. And then we also started the Old Howard Gala, which kind of the same conversation. Like people were getting older. People didn't, they wanted to go out and party, but they wanted to go out with their people. So the gala, we shifted everybody, kind of the original people that went to Thousand Bottles, shifted them over to a different venue, which opened up a whole new era for Thousand Bottles. And then, gave us another brand to produce, or another event to produce on that Friday
Now,
night.
are these events going up against each other at the same time?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's kind of risky, man, to kind of throw two parties at once. Especially we not talking about parties where you got to get 100 people in there. You know,
Right. Yeah.
So.
I've always believed in like swinging for the fence. So like
Hmm.
when we first did Thousand Bottles, there were a lot of people saying maybe you should start off, because that was our first real homecoming party. So it was a lot of people saying you should start off with 300 or 400 people, get you a club where you don't have a lot of overhead. But we just swung for the fence and we hit. And so when we did the gala, it was kind of the same thing. We were like, we know we got to strike while the iron's hot, and we can't let the brands get stale. We can't let our influence get cold. So it was a risk, but so far it's paid off pretty well.
Oh, that's dope, man. So you get you do the old Howard Gala, and then I want to say you guys were one of the first to make brunches lit too. I mean, it was always, I want to say, the joint that was at like Barcode and the other one, but I want to say that I just happened to I just like stop by y'all joint, like let me just stop. I was like, damn, this shit homecoming going till Sunday, you know.
Yeah.
The Brunch Kings, man. I mean, just tell me like the competitive. Just talk about the competition, man. That just goes into homecoming. Obviously, I throw parties. I mean, there's some. It's probably. I mean, how many promoters? How many entities would you say are kind of like relevant during homecoming when
Mhm.
it comes to like parties?
It's a lot, man, and I don't want to. In case I leave anybody out, I don't want anybody to feel disrespected. There's a lot of great Howard promoters. Um, it's competition. Most of it, I would say, is friendly, but like I think between me and you, I think our competition has always been friendly. We've always been forthcoming about what we're doing, trying not to butt heads with each other, but there and even trying to collab sometimes. I think that I ended up grouping up with a collective called Go Ham.
Mm-hmm.
Howard at the Mecca is what they use or what we use for ham. So it's Paradigm, Major, and Playmakers. So that's 3 different groups coming together to all collaborate and throw parties for different age groups and not try to, you know, overtake anybody else's crowd. Try not to step on each other's feet. So that consolidated like 4 of us. And then there's new people that pop up every year, that compete. And so we just try to do what we can to stay relevant. There's enough people that come every year to where everybody should be able to eat. So I don't ever want to
That's what everybody say when they on top. That's what you say when you're on top. It's enough for everybody, y'all.
I don't, I try to just make sure that we are creating great experiences for people, and then that way people will come back.
That's real.
If that means that, well, the ticket prices are what they are because we got bills. It takes a lot of money to throw these parties, which I think a lot of people misinterpret.
Yeah, people don't know, man. I mean, a lot of these parties, they break even $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a lot of times.
Yeah. So so we just try to concentrate on throwing the best events we can, making the right collabs and partnering up with the right people to try to make, because at the end of the day, it's about the experience. I mean, it is about the check, but more so it's about the experience everybody has, because that's what they're going to remember. That's what they're going to tell their friends about. That's what's going to keep them, or that's going to be the difference between them deciding to come to your party next year or to go to someone else's or to even come to homecoming every year. Like I lived in New York immediately after graduation, so it was nothing to come back down, but a lot of people move all over the country. So it's like an actual investment for them to come into DC and spend all that money that weekend. So I just want to make sure that people have a great experience when they do that.
Talk about the business, man, of homecoming. Obviously, you got one aspect where you make money off ticket sales, which is common. But, what goes into getting sponsorship and negotiating bar guarantees and rental fees? Like, talk about your approach, like when you were planning an event.
A lot of it is relationships. So when I go into planning an event, I try to see what relationships, who do I know that's done something at that venue? Can you tell me how it was working with the management? Are they willing to negotiate on the prices? So I kind of try to do my research before I go in. If there's nobody, I've done some cold calls and, cold emails and reached out. But venues, pretty much what you have to realize is, yes, you want that venue so you can throw a party so that you can, create these experiences and make a little money. But they're also in sales. So they're trying to get you to rent out the venue just as much as you're trying to rent out the venue. So I try to keep that in mind when negotiating and trying to get, the better price or better bar guarantee on certain things. Now, it does change at homecoming because it's a lot of promoters trying to get the same venue. So, there's usually a little wiggle room. As far as sponsorships, man, I've just been blessed to kind of create some great relationships, especially with Diageo. I think since day one, they sponsor just about all of our events, whether it be Crown Royal or Ciroc, whether it be homecoming or outside of homecoming. I usually try to turn to them. And it's very important to at least, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going with other brands, but I think as far as relationships are concerned, you have to reach out to the people that have showed you love first and kind of give them the first right of refusal. So I always reach out to them first to see what it is before I consider going to somewhere else. Because I'm loyal to them, and so they've been loyal to me for years.
Tell me about some of the merch, man. One of the things I bought from y'all was that that fighting Negro joint, man. Do y'all still have it?
We don't really sell it. Sell a lot of old Howard stuff anymore. We kind of we did get a cease and desist from the university. So we still need to trying to decide.
Cease and desist. I'm in the cease and desist club too, bro.
already.
Yeah, I'm in the cease and desist club too, man. The boat ride, dog. They hit me with the. I wasn't even thinking. I was calling it the Howard Alumni Yacht Affair. I'm like, yo, lit name. Let's get it popping. But once I got the cease and desist, we was already sold out. So it was, you know, I just changed the name.
Yeah. So yeah, we kind of started off with old Howard. Well, we had our TGL gear, that's a gifted life. And then our partner Jason came up with old Howard. And so it was just something we were saying around our friends, like, you know, we noticed that the younger group of Howard alum or people that were still there, people we'd seen at homecoming, we just felt like we were a little bit different, which I'm sure everybody those kids, you know, those young boys, whatever. And so we just started calling ourselves Old Howard, and then in turn we called them New Howard. So we started making some merch kind of just for friends, and people were like, hey, I want one of those. So we would sell it generally around homecoming and stuff. And it kind of just, Old Howard kind of took off on its own, and everybody started using it on merch and what you call it, parties and everything else. We should have did a better job of handling our business with it, but it kind of just was
that joint took off, man. It took off.
It was just a phrase that we used, and it kind of took off. We should have trademarked it day one, but you know, it is what
y'all would have been hitting cats with the cease and desist.
Right.
Damn, just like that, man. You on the other side. So
right.
Are y'all still selling merch?
Here and there. Right now I kind of shifted to a different kind of merch. So I started a candle company.
Okay.
With my girlfriend. She went to FAMU. So we started a candle company, and we do like lifestyle candles. That's what we call it, lifestyle scented luxe candles. I think I got that right. She'll probably kill me, but they're kind of geared towards stuff we couldn't do while we were on quarantine, and then also music vibes. Like we have a candle called "Nothing Even Matters," so that's kind of is geared towards the song "Nothing Even Matters" by Lauryn Hill, and it comes with its own playlist. So we kind of shifted from, since I didn't know if I was going to be able to do homecoming this year, actual physical events, I was like, we could create these candles. What if we did some candles with homecoming vibes and create a kit of homecoming? You could take homecoming home. So that's been more of my focus rather than, you know, the clothing.
Like how much, like, were you doing parties before you did homecoming?
Yeah, I was doing, I actually started promoting in school. I started promoting with LGI. You remember them with Javier? He's a promoter in Miami now, but I think the biggest party I threw, we still like house parties, and then I started working with LGI doing club parties. I think the biggest thing we threw before homecoming though was latex. So with the Louisiana and Texas club.
Yeah, that was a pretty legit party. So when you know, how much has Howard, like, the ability to add value to what's already a huge weekend, how much has that, like, changed the way you approach business and relationships with people?
Well, Howard is definitely, it's always something that I don't say I bring it up in every conversation, but it's definitely a conversation starter. People want to know more about Howard. They want to know about homecoming. And then if they already do know, and, you know, they have heard about they hear about homecoming and then hear that I'm one of the people that help bring those homecoming experiences to life, it's definitely helped in job interviews and just meeting people and networking. But you know, I try to use the experiences and the network that I have from going to Howard and from doing these parties to kind of just help in any other business endeavor that I'm trying to do. I have a lot of homies that could probably be considered mentors that I can, you know, ask questions about, this market or that market, or what do you think about this? And, it's kind of helped me to get in the position I am today.
Give me like your top 2 or 3 like finesse text messages that you get from people who trying to get in free.
Oh man. I have some friends, they know who they are, who will wait until like I'm literally on my way to the venue. Like, yo, Steve, I got like 5 or 6 chicks with me. I'm straight tonight, right? Where can I pick up my wristbands? Mind you, all day I've been giving out wristbands to the people that purchased them or homies or whatever. And so I had to get to the point where I don't even distribute the wristbands anymore. Like I give a friend, here are the wristbands for our group, and that's all y'all can have. Anybody else, I don't know. But that would be one. And then there's been some usually around, I guess, September, there are some girls or some women that get a little bit more cozy and like, hey friend, and let's go have and I can kind of tell after the first couple of years, you can kind of tell that, okay, it must be homecoming season because people are getting a lot more friendly.
You get the where's your party at tonight? Like the little intro text, where your party at? Or what's another one?
Yo, you at the
what's
door?
The cover? What's the cover?
Bro, I've been selling tickets for 3 months. What are you talking about?
Right. I just reply with the Eventbrite link, like, yo, it's right here. So where does this business acumen come from, man? Because it's you went into parties and you figured out a way to get paid off parties, whether it's from sponsors, you negotiating the bar deal, then you come up with the merchandise. Where does the business side of things for you come from? Was that something that you always had, or did you develop it?
I think I had a little bit of it. My father always instilled in me to work hard and to go after, whatever your dream may be, even if he supported it, or even if he didn't agree with it. Both my parents really always supported, when I wanted to be a rapper or when I wanted to be a producer. So just that kind of hustle mentality of trying to get, after that, it was the hustle mentality of trying to get my music out there. And then that kind of led me into knowing these promoters and DJs and that I was like, well, if I can get this many people to listen to my song, why can't I get this many people to pay to come into this place to listen to songs that are much greater than mine? So it just kind of developed, man. I was throwing, like I said, we were throwing house parties freshman year, and it was a rush of, once you feel that rush of people coming to the door to something that you thought of in your dorm room, like, it's like a high, bro. Like, the money is great, and, it helped me a lot in business, just dealing with different types of people and networking and stuff like that. But it's really that rush of putting together that experience and then it paying off in the end.
Where do you think a lot of promoters go wrong?
I think it's 2 things. I think it's overestimating your juice or your, how much influence you have. And then it's underestimating the amount of work you have to put in. So I'll start with the second one. So like you said, it's a lot of work, especially building a party, building a space out from the ground up. That is like probably one of the hardest things I've ever done, because I'm not an interior decorator. I'm not a DJ or a sound engineer. So I'm going around, I'm having to lean on, again, my friends and friends and family to help to put this together. And it's piece by piece. There's all these moving pieces, and I have to manage that. And that really helps me in what I do day to day. Whether it's I do in experiential marketing now, but even when I was working other jobs, it helped me to be able to manage all these moving pieces going along. And then even when you're in a bar, like if I just throw a party at a bar and I don't have to bring anything except my DJ and myself, you still have to really be in people's faces, but just enough not to be annoying, but to get your point across to get them to come to the party. Because I do know some promoters who, like, people will hit me like, why does this guy keep hitting me up about coming to his party? I don't want to go because he keeps hitting me out. I'm like, I don't know. It's a very fine line between, sometimes people think that there's a personal relationship there when it's not, and they just think of you as a promoter. So you have to know how to deal with those type of people. And it's just a lot of work that goes into it. And then jumping out, you have to know the right time to jump out and make that leap of faith to rent out a venue and go for those big bucks. Because I think sometimes people want to do that because they see like, oh, well, here's $1,000 or here's the Movemaker party or everything. Like, they're doing this and they're older. Like you said, I'm 25. I should be able to get all my 25-year-old friends to do. They don't understand how much work, money, time, effort that goes into that. And they may think that they have more pull than they actually do. Because you're competing with these established parties. You're competing with, people that have done this for years and made mistakes and have relationships. So yeah, man, it's rough, man. If anybody is trying to start out today, what I would say is to reach out to somebody that's been doing it. It doesn't have to be me. It doesn't have to be you, but to reach out to somebody that's doing it right now and just see, can I get on your team and help out because I want to learn. They may
So
say
how should somebody reaches out?
Mm-hmm.
Cool, I want 25%. I want 50%.
Nah, man. It's a no for me, but no, I think it's more along the lines of, if you really want to do it, you need to take some time out to learn, right? Like, it can't be about the money, at least not the first time. Like, you need to, if you really, let me sit on the conference calls. Let me, tell me I'll reach out to the venues and coordinate with the, stuff, copy me on the emails just so I can see. And I'm not gonna pay somebody to teach them. You know what I'm saying? But I will try to teach somebody who will help. If somebody's helping me out by doing, even if it's just some little stuff, I'll try to teach them as much as I can because, I can't do it forever, and I want other people to flourish. So I'll pass down my knowledge, but I can't pay nobody to pass down my knowledge.
So what about like at this point we both know like what deals we won't take.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously nobody's gonna be like, yeah, everybody to say your name at the door, we give you $5 or something like that, or
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put you on this type of tally. But at the same time, that is kind of how you got to get started in a sense, because as the person who's you or myself, as the person who is taking all the risk and putting all of the money down and has relationships, you're not gonna give anybody an equity position, so to say, who, especially if they don't have no skin in the game.
Right.
Have you ever had talk about the deal that you maybe started off with versus like a type of deal that you would go for now?
Yeah, so I get when I was starting out, it was more so like that. It was more so like, hey, we're gonna give you. This is back in the days when you actually had to pass out flyers physically, door to door, put them under, do dorm sweeps and stuff like that. So it was literally like, hey, bring the flyer, and how we're gonna count the flyers at the end of the night, and we're gonna pay you per flyer that people bring in. So you begin to learn that, hey, everybody that I tell to come is not gonna bring that flyer. So I could be missing out on money. I guess it's different now because there's affiliate links and stuff like that. So the deals that I kind of go for now is more so, like you said, equity. I know that I have a certain amount of people on my list. I have on my email list, and in my that I have reached toward on Instagram and Facebook and things of that nature. And so I feel like I'm going to go in. I think I can create value. If I don't think I can create value, but you still want me to help, I may still help you out if you're one of my people. Like I have some homies that, hey Steve, we got this party, it's doing pretty good, but we want you to bring a little bit older crowd. We know you got the old Howard crowd, but the bar deal isn't that great. I might say, you know what, I'm gonna look out for you now. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You look out for me later when it's homecoming time or when it's Trill Grill time or when it's something like that. I'll go ahead and do a blast now. Because again, it's about relationships. But it's gonna have to those per person you bring to the party deals, that's only when you starting out. But if you're gonna do those, I would tell anybody starting out, the most important thing you can do is collect data. It's just like what Facebook is doing, Instagram, Twitter, every company in the world, Google, they're collecting data, and that data is valuable. That's going to be besides your relationships, that data is probably the most valuable thing.
So along those lines, man, I mean, when you collaborate, do you always share the data?
It depends.
That can get sticky sometimes,
Yeah. It depends. The people that have equity usually get the data. If it's like once you start getting into the sub level of promotion, then you're probably not going to get that data.
How do you protect your data?
I guess it's more so of protecting who I work with, right? Because I know that if I start blasting out for somebody that I can't vouch for, that's not part of my team or whatever, the people that come back, you're starting to slowly get some of my data because you're slowly getting the emails and some of my crowd are coming over and paying attention to you. So I try to not pull out the email blast until unless I know, this is somebody who I can trust, who I know that I'm probably going to work with again, or who I can also get some data from. So there have been times when I worked in other markets that I'm not as familiar in, and we're like, hey, we're both going to promote and, we're going to share the data at the end. So I know that if I'm in a new market, that data is more valuable to me than my data probably is to him. So, or her. So, yeah, man, it's all about, like you said, protecting it, but also exchanging data. Like you have to be able to, in this game, you have to be able to collaborate with people.
So let's talk about, man, how this monster was created, man. So when did you come into Howard?
I came into Howard 2002.
Oh, you came in 2002, and so talk to me about what was it like. What was it saying when you got to Howard? Well, first of all, what made you choose Howard?
Funny story. I applied to Howard because Diddy went to Howard. I'm gonna tell you the God honest truth. I was applying from Texas, Dallas, and I was applying to mostly Texas schools. I knew I wanted to go to college, but Howard and HBCUs, I knew of like Howard and Morehouse, and that was it. So I applied to both of those. I got into both. The reason I actually went to Howard is because they just gave me more scholarship money. So it came down to the numbers, but it was one of the best decisions that I ever made.
What was it like when you got on campus?
It was definitely a lot different from Texas. I remember driving through. I mean, when you see college on TV, it looks like these grand buildings and a great neighborhood, and everything's like about learning and sitting outside. Now, like on campus at Howard, that's how it was. But around campus, it's the different DC than it is today. So I remember my dad driving me down the street and looking back in the car like, "You sure you want us to drop you off here?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna thug it out and see. But it was definitely a culture shock. But fortunately, I had a couple friends that I knew from Dallas that were in my same class, and our network quickly grew to our little circle of friends, most of which were from the South.
Now, what organizations were you involved in on campus?
On campus, probably the biggest one would be Phi Sigma Pi. I did
Rest in
also
peace to
like,
Phi Sig, man. Rest in
oh man,
peace.
yeah,
Great organization, man. Great
yeah,
organization.
definitely a great organization. I have a lot of, we're both obviously in Phi Sig. I have a lot of great friends from Phi Sig, meeting them in Phi Sig. And, but yeah, that, I think the only other, I was at the radio at WHBC and then also EPP. But outside of that, it was like, I was trying to be a rapper. So I spent my time in the studio or promoting parties so people could.
Are you still rapping now?
I am not rapping anymore. I gave that mantle over to my younger brother.
How far did you take it?
I mean, I don't think he ever got any radio play, but the songs were in the club. So I don't know if the younger people that might listen to know this, but I did a song with my partner Jesse called Freak Right. So I know that you a freak, right. So
That was you?
Yeah. So that became like a Howard anthem.
Wait, did that joint drop while you was at Howard?
Yeah. Actually, QB.
Oh, damn.
DJ
That's
Premonition.
lit.
Yeah.
Damn, you got a joint on the radio? Shit, while you at Howard?
Oh, no. I'm sorry. It didn't go, we didn't have any radio, but WHBC radio play, but not any like.
Because it's like, I know that you were free because you're going to let me beat, right? It's something like that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I didn't know that was you.
It was in the clubs, the Howard party clubs. And then I promoted. So like the clubs that I would promote, they would play it. So every Howard party, some Howard wedding still, they would play that song. So that was probably.
Wow, Joe, that's an anthem for real. I didn't know that, man.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That joint, what year was that?
We made that song in, I think, 2005.
Dog, that shit went hard in Chicago, man.
Yeah.
That shit went hard in Chicago, bro.
People picked it up at Howard and took it all over the country, to people's, laptops all over the country.
So after that, you decided that was it? You was like, I'm good?
No, I was still rapping for a few years. I ended up going to NYU for music business, and that I kind of, for seeing the business side, I kind of wanted to be less of an artist and more A&R, which is like finding artists, developing artists, signing artists, stuff like that. So that's what I went into for a few years, few different labels, and then.
What was that like, man? Because they say in those, when you work in that music business, it's hard to really make bread, at least starting off.
It is very hard. They pay very not well. What is it? They don't pay well at all. But they preach that it's about the experience and stuff like that. I did learn a lot. But it's there's a very high turnover. Like whole staffs get laid off all the time. So that's what ended up happening to me a couple times, to where I was finally like, you know what, I want to do. It's right. The last time I got laid off is around the time 1,000 Bottles started taking off. And I was like, yo, this 1,000 Bottles thing, we could take this on the road, and we could do, this is before parties were going on the road. We didn't execute it, but we only did, I think we did Baltimore and New York, but and outside of DC. But
that's real, because I know you was at Epic, Def Jam. I mean, who some of the artists that you got to work with?
I guess the biggest, I try to work my way up. So like, Adrian Ballon was one that we worked with a lot. Justin Bieber was probably the biggest one. Well, I guess Justin Bieber and Travis Scott. So I was on the teams that signed both of them. So that was two very huge figures that I got to be around and work with. So that was definitely great. It was mostly Travis was probably the only hip hop artist really. Well, Travis and Astro. I don't know if you remember him. He won he's an actor now, but he won, what was the name of the show? X Factor. Or he was one of the contestants on X Factor. So while we were there at Epic under LA Reid, all of the X Factor winners and like some of the runner-ups would come over to Epic. And so we would work on their projects.
So after Howard, you went straight from Howard to NYU?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Right there. It was a good, New York is like a bigger DC. That's how I felt. I used to be in DC all the time. A lot of people didn't know I left until like a year after I was in grad school because I was always in DC. But there was a lot of Howard alums that moved up to New York. So it was a great community of Howard. I've been told by quite a few people that Howard people they're always around Howard people because we used to always mob to parties together, and they thought we were better than all the other HBCUs, which isn't true. I mean, we are better, but we didn't think that.
So you get out of the music biz. Talk to me about the Trill. I haven't experienced Trill Grill Fest. How big is that?
Trill Grill, we're up to about 5,000 people now.
Wow. So what's like the theme and like the idea behind it?
What I wanted to do was bring Southern music to DC or to the North, really. So it actually started in New York. It was just like my birthday party. I wanted to throw all Southern music. We had a barbecue. It was in this huge backyard in Brooklyn. Shout out to Pete, Faven, and Steve. But yeah, it started off as that. It was a great time, and I was like, we could take this better. Let's combine a barbecue festival with a Southern music festival and put it somewhere in the Northeast, so people like myself who live up there but are from the South can enjoy it, but also other people can, experience that culture at least once a year.
Because from what I hear, man, festivals are extremely expensive.
Yeah.
When you do this, did you have a sponsor off bat, or is this something that you had to prove the concept first?
Well, we had some smaller product sponsorships starting off. It was kind of more like a day party starting off. So we kind of proved the concept with that. But when we went to festival grounds to do it, we still had some proving to do. We still had some proving to do. So we had some investors, leaned on friends and family and homecoming checks to produce Trill Grill, and it just kept growing and growing. Again, that's where a lot of my called in favors to friends who have been working with me on different events to either promote or help do logistics, or because it's like a big party, but it's in a much larger space, and you also have to worry about. So you still have to take care of the bar, but I provide all the product for the bar. So I have to make sure excuse me. So I have to make sure I manage that. I have to manage the lines. I have to manage the artists and the DJs and the stage and all the vendors and everything. So without, my Trill Grill team, again, you can't do these big kind of things yourself. Trill Grill team, and that includes the investors. So.
Damn. So how so it's been going on for what, 6 years now? 5 years?
It's been going on since 2013. I think was the first one we had as a day party. So, but the festival one is we had it three. We had Rick Ross was the last one, Big Crit before that, and Manny Fresh. So we've done the full on festival for 3 years.
And those are in New York.
No, they're all have all been in DC.
Okay. So that's dope. So you got Trill Grill Fest, and then of course, after that, that's when you took the brunch game to another level. I want to say that. I mean, I don't know when day parties got popular. I think I did my first one maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But
Mm,
I remember coming to DC and being in Atlanta and going to day parties and trying to bring it to Chicago and not having the success. I was like, oh shit! I saw the day parties popping in Atlanta. I was like, damn, I gotta bring this to Chicago. Like people kicking it during the daytime.
yeah,
Now everybody does day parties, but I remember, man, trying to do it. I remember this dope spot, and it just did not crack like I thought
yeah,
it was. And then, of course, a group came after me. That shit was crazy. Like
yeah.
it was crazy, man. Where the idea for the brunch? Where did that come from? Cause it's like sometimes something could be right in front of your face, and you
Yeah.
don't even see it. Like, cause I know when I came out with what was it the bar crawl,
Mm-hmm.
everybody was like, damn, I like low hanging fruit. You know what I'm saying? Where did the idea for the brunch come from?
I was definitely also salty about that one. I was like, man, it's the perfect sweet spot, the perfect thing to do during that sweet spot between Yard Fest and Friday night. But yeah, the brunch thing kind of came along. Well, brunch is something, bottomless brunch is something they do. Well, when I first did it, it was in New York, and I was living up there. Came back down to Dallas for a year, and then moved back. And my friends were going to this spot called PS 450, and they would like play. They have a DJ through brunch, and then around a certain time they would switch DJs, and the DJ would like turn all the way up, and so it became more of a party. And I was like, "This is the greatest thing I have ever seen in my life."
Yeah,
Eat,
right.
I get to drink, I get to party, and then when I'm done, I still got the whole night ahead of me. I was like, this is amazing. Um, and so that's when, well, we did that for a while, but it was me and my business partner, Lael. We were always standing on couches, us amongst a bunch of other people, but we were always standing on couches, getting bottles at the brunch. We're like, we should monetize this. We're bringing 30, 40, 50 people to brunch to hang out with us.
The
Why
wheels
aren't
is
we?
turning.
Right. I was like, why aren't we monetizing this? Like, and so, again, took a leap of faith. And I mean, the brunches are a little bit different because you don't have to like build out space. The first ones we did in New York, it took a while for them to grow, but by the time we got to DC, like it just kind of took off, and Brunch Kings were born.
Dope being able to throw events in different markets. Where do you see events and parties going now? You know, I mean, I know we got virtual stuff going on, but I mean, I don't
Mm.
know how sustainable that is and how profitable that could be. But where do you see events going?
Um, I think that events will eventually come. I think there'll be a vaccine eventually, or is it what do they call it, herd immunity? There eventually there'll be a point, I believe, when people are able to go back outside freely. And I think that events are going and festivals, stuff like that, are going to come back. But what I do think is going to happen is that they're going to have a virtual component, because I think virtual components to events are relatively inexpensive, especially if you're making a profit from selling physical tickets and merch on site. But it opens up the door for a lot more people to get some kind of experience. And even more than that, the numbers and the metrics rise, right? So if I'm a sponsor and I want to invest in an event and I want 5 million eyes on it, you're not going to be able to do that in a 5,000 person capacity venue. But by adding a virtual component, then maybe I can get up to that 5,000, impressions or whatever, and then I can fulfill that KPI that the sponsor wants, but I can still have my event and I can still get paid. So I think
Right.
events are going to come back, but I think people are going to figure out a way. Hopefully, it's me to to continue to have a virtual component that I can monetize it with sponsors, maybe even with consumers. But definitely, I think it's going to be big on the list of sponsors because just in my field now, like we're having to refigure out how we do our benchmarks. Like how many people? Nobody knew how many people were good, like how many viewers was good for a virtual festival until people started doing virtual festivals. So this is all like new stuff. It's a new territory. But people are figuring it out. There's a lot of smart people. So I think virtual component, I don't think is going anywhere, but I do think physical is going to come back.
And at your events, is it important for you to know, for people to know that you're the person behind the event?
Um, Not for me. I think it's important that people know the brand that's behind the event and that it created a great experience. I think that for them knowing that Steve did the event is not important to me. The stakeholders, it's important for them to know that Steve is behind that brand that did the event. Like the sponsors, the venues, the vendors. But as far as everybody out in the crowd that's enjoying themselves and having a great time, I just want them to know that TGL put on the event and that they can trust TGL as a brand.
Well, I do want to ask you this: do you think you ever own a venue?
That is one of my goals. I want to own I actually want to own a restaurant and I want to own a club. So, um, yeah, that's definitely, I see that in my future. It's all about saving up, and then that's going to be another one of those big risks. Take a leap of faith and do. But yeah, I definitely see that in my future.
A restaurant like a park, a restaurant like a
Um,
point, like what type of?
I think that I would definitely like a park would be like both, and I can just do it all at once. But I don't know. It's in my dream. I don't know why. It's to do like a barbecue and bourbon spot. So something that's kind of more of like good barbecue, watching sports. You might have some music playing in the background, but not as like big and huge as park. But
In terms of advice, man, what advice would you give the 18-year-old Steve coming into Howard right now?
oh wow, learn the code. You know what I'm saying? Immediately. Um, Definitely relationships is very important, are very important, excuse me. So definitely make sure you maintain your relationships. Um, Everything isn't about money. Um, a lot of things are about the experience, especially for the consumer. So you have to make sure that the people that you do invite out. This is 18-year-old want to be a promoter, Steve. Uh, a lot of people are going to come out and remember if they remember that they had a great experience, they'll forget how much they had to pay for it. But if they have a bad experience, they'll never forget how much they paid for it. So that would be a thing. And then just look into other opportunities that may be similar to what you're doing, that you get like a way to use that same skill set, but to do other things that you may be able to get a check with, like consulting there may be somebody that has a lot of money that wants to put on a festival but has no idea how to do it. You could go consult with that, and or you may be able to do some graphic design or some marketing for somebody. um, Maybe you want to use the data and the people that you collect while you have that influence in their ear to create a product, like shameless plug Ivey and Allen candles. um, Stuff like that. Like, don't try to think 5 steps ahead, because right now, it will 5-10 years from now, you'll be saying right now was the good old days. That was one of the quotes that one of my homeboys told me. He's like, we were all sitting around 10 Rhode Island where we used to throw hella house parties. And he was like, one day we're going to look back and say these were the good old days. So try to enjoy the time you're in right now and think, but also think 5 steps ahead business wise, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get ahead and have edge on people is if you're thinking 5 steps ahead as to like, what would I want to do, 5 years from now?
What and I couldn't agree more with that, man. In terms of like things you got going on right now, what are some projects that we should look out for?
Well, Can't Cancel Homecoming is our homecoming virtual experience this year. So all the parties we normally do, the ones we talked about, 1,000 Bottles, Old Howard Gala, Latex, stuff like that. We're gonna do all those virtual, and then we're selling along. They're all free, but we have some accompanying merch that's going along with that. Megan Mitchell, who also went to Howard, she started a company called Saint Kits, and we're doing we're doing experience kits for homecoming. So they'll have the Ivey Allen candle in them. They'll have a cocktail kit that's sponsored by Diageo. It's gonna by Crown Royal, and then some other things like sunglasses, Advil. They'll have some wearable stuff, but it'll all come in a box. We're also selling the candles. We have a homecoming line of candles. We're doing a collection, a VIP game day and VIP game day and family reunion candle. So they all come in a set, but it's going to give you the whole vibe of homecoming. So those are the kind of the ways we're, trying to make a little bit of money. Again, the virtual experiences are free. And then we're also giving back 10% of everything we make to Howard. So back to either Howard University or our local alumni associations. So yeah, man, that's kind of what we got going now, man. The candles has been a real big thing for me during quarantine. Just trying to like pivot from my physical events, trying to find something else, another passion, and so that's worked out pretty good for Ivey and Allen. And yeah, man, the most immediate thing is the Can't Cancel Homecoming, can'tcancelhomecoming.com. Shout out to Chubby Swag, Premonition, Jordan, Jetson. Yeah. So October 16th through the 18th is when it's going down.
So 50 plus years from now, man, what are people saying about Steve Owens?
Woo! I hope they're not singing Freak Right. I don't want that to be my only legacy. But 50 plus years from now, I'm hoping they're saying that I was a good, upstanding Christian man, entrepreneur, restaurant venue owner, and that I have some Bison kids that are also following in my footsteps and going out to be productive members of their society, their communities.
Dope, man. Hey, bro, you've been a great guest, man. I want to do some Howard trivia real quick.
Oh,
See what
okay.
you know about the university.
I wasn't
Nothing
prepared for this one.
hard, man.
Okay.
So we'll make it pretty easy for you, man. So the first question is what year was Howard founded?
1867.
Is that one of your parties too?
Huh? No. That's not. But that's a good idea.
What's the Howard motto?
uh HU, you know?
truth, truth, truth and service. HU.
True to service.
Um,
Yeah.
what body of water is located closest to Howard?
Um, the Atlantic Ocean.
The reservoir.
The reservoir. Oh, that does that count as a body of water? I was
Well,
thinking about
I
that, but
mean,
I was like, wait, what? Okay, my
you
bad.
could
No,
have said the
we're gonna cut.
Potomac though.
We're gonna cut. We're gonna cut all this out.
Atlantic Ocean.
Edit,
I love it.
edit.
That's the first time I heard that one. How do you spell Crampton?
CRAMTON.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. I was like, is there a P? No. Okay.
Finish this sentence. Reared against the eastern sky.
Um, Against the eastern sky. I know it's on Hilltop High. Reared against the eastern sky. Proudly there on Hilltop High.
There
Is
you
that it?
go. There you
Okay.
go. What's the Black national anthem?
Why can't I? You just like blame me out. I can. I'm singing in my head. Lift every voice and sing.
There you go. Who was Howard named after?
General Howard. We got to cut all this out. I
You had
can't.
it, man. General Oliver Otis Howard.
Oliver Otis Howard. I knew it was a general and I knew he was white, but I couldn't think of the name. Okay.
Who's the president of Howard
Right now?
currently?
Yeah, President Frederick. Wayne A. Frederick? Dr. Wayne.
Correct.
Yeah.
How many schools and colleges at Howard?
Oh. I want to say 13.
Oh, that's right, man. Good stuff.
Okay. Got it.
Good stuff, man. Last one. What's the zip code at Howard?
20001.
20059.
20059? Are you sure?
20059, man.
Okay.
All right. Next is rapid fire. You about to Google it? Like, nah. This... All right, rapid fire, man. U Street. So rapid fire is basically you just give an answer.
Okay.
Without an explanation. U Street or Adams Morgan?
U Street.
Is who you know or what you know?
Who you know.
Is homecoming better as a student or as an alum?
Alum.
Biggest loss you ever took?
Biggest loss at Howard?
Biggest loss.
Dang.
Or just period?
The biggest loss I ever taken was, I'm not gonna say what event it was, but I'll just leave it at an event that everybody looked on and thought was very successful was very unsuccessful as a loss.
Biggest bag you ever took?
Biggest bag. I'm not gonna say which one it was, but definitely 1,000 bottles.
You got to start one, bench one, cut one. You got freshman orientation, homecoming, and graduation.
Oh, you start one, bench one. So you start homecoming, you bench. Oh, dang. That's a tough one. I think I'm gonna bench. I think I'm gonna bench graduation, and I'm gonna. I'm gonna cut graduation and bench freshman week, freshman orientation.
Howard men don't.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say mine to start that first 2 weeks was so lit to me.
Yeah,
Freshman morning, it was so much fun, man. And
that
even though
changed
it's
my.
only one, it was a game changer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But but
I feel like
yeah,
I've been to so many graduations now that this is whatever. But yeah, that first couple of weeks at Howard, it changed your whole. Well, it changed my whole life. So yeah.
I was like, yo, it's different here. Like I ain't never been no shit like this before. This is different. Even if I
Yeah.
try to go back home and explain it to my boys, I couldn't even. I'm just like, yo, y'all got to come and see. Um, Howard men don't cheat.
I don't see a lie in that.
When did you find your voice?
Ooh, I think it was when I started rapping. When I started rapping and writing rhymes, that's when I found my voice.
When did you realize you were the shit?
Mm. Um, when I started rapping. And I had at that point I had to be the shit. So if I wanted to believe in myself, so yeah. But I'll go a little bit further on now. I know it's rapid fire, but I think once I went to Howard and I took because I didn't know if I was gonna bring rap from high school to Howard. When I came to Howard and people from outside of Texas and all around the country were vibing to some of the songs I was doing, I was like, okay, now I think this is something I could get used to. So
You got to start one, bench one, cut one. You got Ho Chi, Cluck You, China Wonder.
okay, I'm gonna start. Say it again. It's Ho Chi, Cluck You, and China Wonder.
Yep.
I'm cutting China Wonder. I'm ooh dang. I'm gonna start Ho Chi and bench Cluck You.
Man, Cluck You was so good. Man. What's the hardest part of being a boss?
Mm, uh, the hardest part of being a boss is being. It's I guess it would be being the boss of your friends. So when you work with your friends and having to make like tough decisions about, you know, business decisions while keeping your friendship in mind. And sometimes business decisions hurt people, hurt your friendships. So I would say that's the hardest part. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, man. No, it's tough because it's not personal.
Yeah,
It's business. So definitely understand that,
exactly.
man. So yo, man, you've been a great host, man. I appreciate you. A great guest, I should say.
Yeah, you've been a
Appreciate you
great.
coming on, man. Thank you for taking time out. I've been trying to connect with you for a minute.
Thank you, and thank you for being patient. I wanted to make sure I had enough to talk about. I wanted to get the Ivey and Allen stuff and the Can't Cancel Homecoming stuff going, and to make sure I was a decent enough guest.
So if folks want to get in touch with you and get in tune with your parties or even Ivey and Allen, how would they do that?
Instagram is the best way, man. Follow The Gifted Life on Instagram. Follow Ivey and Allen on Instagram. Or go to can'tcancelhomecoming.com if you really want to know what's going on this year, what we got going this year for homecoming.
Set them up, man. Thanks again, man. Steve Owens, aka Diddy, man. Thanks for coming through, aka Jay Prince, man. Appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate it, big bro. Good looking out.
Thank you for joining the HU Movemaker podcast, where we highlight folks that have contributed to the Howard legacy at the highest levels. To hear more interviews or purchase merchandise, please visit www.humovemakers.com.